And welcome into the Thursday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this rainy Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping for homes and businesses that want to stand out, not blend in. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Hope everybody's off to a great start here on this Thursday morning. We appreciate you listening to us on your way into work, at home, wherever you may be. Joe Rexrode, good morning. Happy Thursday morning to you. What's going on?
Notice that I didn't try to talk before I actually
That
unmuted.
did not count as a mute. I was
Did
monitoring.
Not count as a mute. Thank you. I'm okay. Hanging in there.
That's good. That's good.
Living. Livin.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. Ian, how we doing? What's going on?
Good morning. Doing just fine, thanks. Not too cold, at least. A little rainy. So, be careful out there. You know how people are in the rain.
We've already got some situations on the road this morning that I had to deal with.
Yeah, pretty relaxing night last night for the most part. Nothing too crazy on the tube, but doing good, thanks.
Preds back in action tonight, so the Olympic break is done. NHL got back in action last night. Preds are taking on the Chicago Blackhawks tonight. We'll have Predators head coach Andrew Brunette with us later in the program, coming up at 7:30. Charles Robinson, normally on Thursdays at 8 o'clock. He will be with us tomorrow. He's got some scheduling stuff going on at the NFL Combine at his normal time, so we will catch up with Charles tomorrow on the show, so looking forward to that. Taking your thoughts all show long, 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Well, Joe, you can add at least one more need to the list for Mike Borgonzi and the Tennessee Titans. The Titans have released Lloyd Cushenberry and starting safety Xavier Woods as well. Now, on the Xavier Woods front, at least you've got Kevin Winston that you spent a prominent draft pick on last year that can step in, and I think they're expecting big things from Kevin Winston this year, so that's good. We'll see what happens on the Winston front. I don't guess the Woods move is a huge surprise, but Cushenberry was released with a failed physical designation. So you're talking about he was going to be in his third year of a 4-year deal, and now the Titans have released him and tagged him with a failed physical designation on that front as well. So a new center will be in play for the Tennessee Titans this year, Joe Rexrode. Your reaction to Cushenberry and Woods out the door for the Tennessee Titans?
Yeah, well, in the Woods thing, I'm still a little surprised just in terms of depth. I think it definitely speaks to optimism about Winston, but it's, you can still make the case like why not have more depth there? But
when they draft Caleb Downs, they'll be deep.
That is true. As soon as they bring in Downs at 4, then it all makes sense. Cushenberry, that was definitely a big question, and we've been talking about it. Like, are they gonna be new at center and right guard, or what's that gonna look like? And he obviously an Achilles injury is what it is, especially I think for a big person. Even now with like improved recovery time and with the surgeries a little different, stuff like that, it's still a massive injury. So he ended up being okay, but he wasn't what they hoped when they signed him, and so now that becomes obviously a critical position to figure out. I mean, I've heard some people, in fact, I think it was Nate Tice this week talking about I think he was on Mina Kimes' podcast, but talking about, like, in his opinion, the first thing you have to do for a young quarterback is give them a great center. And again, it's like there's a lot of things that a young quarterback needs, but it's important. You think about the last time the Titans rebuilt from the ashes and got good, Ben Jones was a huge part of that. John Robinson getting Ben Jones, signing him away. Well, he was a free agent. He had been a good player at Houston. That's a huge deal. He ended up becoming probably as much the leader of that team. And I feel like a lot of centers are like that.
Yep.
And certainly, obviously you're the leader of the offensive line. You're making the calls. So it makes sense. It's too bad. Obviously it has a lot to do with the injury situation, and it just adds another huge need to the list for the Titans.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how they fill that need. I mean, we've already got a text on the text line from Trevor saying to go get Tyler Lindenbaum here. I mean,
yeah, a lot of people would like to do that.
A lot of people would like to do that. Eric DaCosta of the Ravens, I think, said earlier this week at the NFL Combine that they've given him, quote, a market-setting offer. So, they went through a similar situation at a different position last year, Joe, with Ronnie Stanley, cousin Ronnie, on the show, and signed him as the left tackle. And now Linderbaum, he's a Pro Bowl center. So my guess is he probably is back with Baltimore, but I guess until the deal is signed, you have to keep the option open there. So, but, he is, DaCosta said, quote, he's proven to be, in my opinion, the best center in the league. We have had conversations since the end of the season. Hopefully we can get something done with him between now and the start of the new league year. So my expectation would be that Lindenbaum probably ends up back in Baltimore.
Yeah, totally. That would be my expectation. I think it'd be pretty surprising otherwise. So, and I don't know. I don't think that they have they don't have any tag situation at this point, right?
I don't think so, but I need to double check that. I've been looking and I can't find one.
Always an option. To me, he's too good to not do that if you can't figure it out, right?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be Tyler Lindenbaum, but it's going to be a new center here for the Titans, and I'm interested to see how they address that. Joe, I think you could have made the argument anyway, even if Cushenberry was still on the team, for the Titans to maybe draft a center later in the draft. Like, you're not spending a first or second round pick on a center, I don't think, but could you have made the argument anyway to maybe try to find another center to develop, even if Cushenberry was coming back? Well, it just heightens it now that he's not and he's gone. And that's obviously, you got to find a starting level center. Corey Levin has been around here like 500 different times at this point, so maybe they just roll with that again. But I don't know that I'd go with Corey Levin as my starting center.
No, it may end up being the case, but that's ideally he's kind of like that swing guy inside that could pop in there, or at the guard spots if somebody gets hurt or something like that. That's what his role should be. So look, I haven't really been looking at center. I just assumed they were gonna kind of limp along here with Cushenberry, like you said, try to draft someone, try to maybe develop someone. Now, does that become one of the high picks? Not the first round pick. Maybe second round. I think starting with the second round, you have it as a possibility if there's someone really good that happens to be available there. I don't know. I'm not super familiar with the center market at this point in terms of the draft.
Yeah, me either. They're going to need someone to start there, Joe, though. I know that. Starting position on the offensive line has just opened up. So, you already needed a right guard, and now you're going to need a center to go along with it. So we'll see how the Titans handle that. It's a good point you make on the Woods part of this. Safety was, I don't know, you tell me, Joe, it was perhaps the only position on defense you look at right now, and you're like, yeah, I feel pretty decent about at least the depth there. Now, I say that you've got Amani Hooker, who wasn't very good last year, and we'll see what that looks like in response this year. You've got Winston, who I think they're really excited about, and you can see the talent, but he hadn't done a whole lot yet. So now you've taken Woods out of that. So now some of that depth is gone. So I am they're going to have to address safety to some degree now. I'm just curious how they're going to do that. I was kind of halfway joking about the Caleb Downs front, but maybe not. Maybe he's there at 4, and they say, you know what? That's the best football player on the board. Let's get him.
It's not impossible. Someone's going to take him, I think, pretty high, and again, higher than you would think a safety would go. So, and on the one guy to note on the offensive line is Jackson Slater. Yep. Rookie last year, Sacramento State. There's some buzz about him, some excitement about him. Now, I kind of thought, well, okay, is he going to be their right guard? Maybe he's just like the swing guy too. It's likely that one of at least Jackson Slater or Corey Levin starts opening day. That'd be my guess right now at one of those spots. And then the question is, who else is in the mix, and how do they acquire them?
Could you think Mandor could play center if they went out and got Trent Williams? Get Trent Williams on the left side, Latham on the right, move Mandor to the middle.
Yeah, I don't know about center. That might be a
Really
little
bolt
bit of a
that door
stretch.
down though if you're in the middle though.
Probably
I feel
not.
pretty good about it.
Yeah, that's a big door in the middle of the offensive line. Could he play guard? Could he play right guard though? Maybe. That's a good question.
If you're going to pay him $20 million, you can get him out there some way, somehow.
That's true. If you're going to make that kind of money, you got to play somewhere, I guess.
Edge rusher.
Well, they definitely
and can
need
you rush
that.
the passer? Not all that great at protecting the passer. Can you rush the passer?
Yeah, flip it around. Wouldn't that be fun? Flip it around. Put somebody else in that spot that you've been in. A lot of people on the text line are talking about Byard at safety. Is he a free agent?
He's a free agent.
Yeah, he is a free agent.
Yeah.
Hey, he's still good. I mean, it's not the it's not the craziest idea I've ever heard.
As far as free agent centers, it looks like there's a pretty big drop off.
Yeah,
after Linderbaum.
Yeah.
I mean, Kate Mays from the Panthers is out there. McGovern from the Bills is out there. But, yeah, the list is not great.
I need a full breakdown, maybe not even at The Athletic, but here for our show after Joe watches the tape today on free agent centers that are available. Joe, I'm looking forward to that report.
Just give me a few hours.
All right,
I'll grade all their games, and we'll reconvene tomorrow.
Bracketologist, film analyst, there's nothing Joe Rexrode can't do. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We are off and running on Robby and Rexrode today. Mike Borgonzi addressed the media yesterday at the NFL Combine and had some interesting things to say on the Cam Ward front and the weapons that he'll be looking for this offseason. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. 94.9 The Fan, your home for Vanderbilt women's basketball. Coverage presented by Ponce Law. Tonight, the Commodores taking on Alabama at Memorial Gym, 6:30 p.m. Pregame beginning at 6:15. Ponce Law injured in an accident. Call Ponce Law at 615-244-4321. Ponce Law, justice for all. Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5 The Game, broadcasting from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. NFL Combine Week raging on. We heard some comments from Robert Saleh on yesterday's show. And Mike Borgonzi addressing the media yesterday. They got into a variety of different things with the Titans general manager. But one of those was Paul Kuharsky doing some capital J journalism work, Joe, and asking Borgonzi about how much responsibility he feels to upgrade the weapons for Cam Ward this offseason. Here's what Mike Borgonzi had to say on that front yesterday.
How much do you feel the responsibility to give Cam a better weapon?
I think we're always trying to, protect the quarterback and support him with weapons. And that's certainly something that we're going to, focus on here this offseason. We added, a few young guys last year in the draft, and they had the opportunity to play this year too, which was great. But certainly that's our goal every year is to add weapons for Cam.
So that was Borgonzi yesterday, upgrading weapons for the quarterback, Joe. Had to make sure that we got that part of it in there. That's half the reason I played the clip was quarterback. So
you think I don't care about the quarterback, Kuharsky? I care about the quarterback.
I think that's my favorite thing you do out of the Kuharsky and everything else. I think the Borgonzi voice is my favorite thing you do.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
So, he talked about, in a few different answers yesterday, wide receiver, and he said, very loosely, Tate's a good player, Tyson, Lemon. He mentioned some of the guys that we've talked about, but it feels like one thing that I took away from some of the comments he had yesterday was that he feels like receivers relatively deep in this draft, which we talked about a little bit yesterday. I think, what was it, Matt Miller earlier this week talked about 11 of the top 50 being maybe receivers in this draft. So you're going to have an opportunity here, I think, if you're the Titans, whether it's at number 4, whether you trade down or moving into the second and third rounds, maybe to find some receivers here. One thing I've learned about Borgonzi, Joe, I think to this point, I don't think he's going to, tip his cards too much as to what he's thinking and doing in a media setting. And, I watched his entire press conference yesterday. Frankly, there wasn't a whole lot there that I really took away from. It was a kind of a masterclass of Mike Borgonzi by saying things and not really saying anything at the same time, which is what a lot of general managers around this league do. But I did find, multiple times he talked about the depth of the receiver position in this draft. So that was notable.
Yeah. So if you want to, and I feel like I do this a lot, jump to conclusions based on comments of the combine, you could take that as we don't need to take a receiver in the first round because there's going to be good options later. You could take it that way. I'm not necessarily saying he's saying that, but that if you want to read into anything, no, he's very good at he's asked about a bunch of players yesterday. He asked about Jeremiah Love and things like that, and pretty like good player, yeah, sure, good player,
yep.
Good group of players, et cetera, without tipping the hand. But that is, that point he made is certainly the case to that, along with, are you sure there's anybody who's worth the case for, going doing receiver next, presumably second round pick, possibly.
Yeah.
Maybe.
There's no doubt. I'm sure Borgonzi is well aware that the weapons around your quarterback right now are going to have to be upgraded. And, we've talked about the running back part of that. We're going to get into what he had to say on the Jeremiah Love front here in just a few minutes. But there's receiver they're going to address this offseason. Just when. That's kind of my question. When are you going to address receiver? Like, is it going to be a combination of a significant spend in free agency plus a draft pick? Is it going to be at number 4 overall? Do you feel like from a value perspective, you're better off, if David Bailey or Reuben Bain or whoever's available at number 4, going that route and then finding another receiver early in the second round there. Like that, how it shakes out and how the board breaks down is going to be interesting. But we've talked about, there's the 2 receivers from Indiana. I'm really interested to see where they go in the draft. We got people in the YouTube chat talking about Brazel. Like Brazel from a trait standpoint, Joe. I mean, he's 6'5". He can run pretty well, but he plays in that Tennessee offense, and that part of it with NFL evaluators, like I'd honestly probably like to talk to Charles about this tomorrow. Of like how big a deal is the Tennessee offense part of this? Because we've talked about this before with not only quarterbacks with Hendon Hooker, but receivers as well. I mean, you're doing things in college football with a system that Heupel runs that you're just not able to do in the NFL. So I wonder how much that is going to be a knock on Brazel heading into this, regardless of what the traits look like.
Yeah, it's always going to come up. Brazel certainly. I mean, if you watch Brazel, you watch Tennessee last year. I mean, Brazel didn't just run, go routes or hitch routes.
Right.
I mean, Brazel worked the middle of the field. He ran different routes. They do have other routes in their playbook. They do use the middle of the field, but yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I think, especially like we talked about this last week. There are times when you're not activated, which is basically just like a chance to give you rest. If you're really running that tempo and it's definitely going the other side of the field, sometimes you get the call and you basically take a play off. But yeah, I mean, again, that's just the scheme. I mean, that's not him taking a play off because he's dogging it, so, but certainly, it's not the full route tree like some offenses employ. So that's the thing. I think he's got a real chance to be a productive player in the NFL, because I just think that he has with Hyatt, you can go back and think, you can go back with Hyatt, who had this amazing year, and say, look, a lot of that was just straight up go routes and his speed. And, he did lack some physicality and things like that. Right. I mean, he sort of, he got pumped up a little bit by the scheme and just by the numbers and by Hendon Hooker and the way he played that year and all that stuff. I think Brazel is I think Brazel is a dude and a guy who has a chance to really be productive in this league, which would be great for Tennessee if that were to end up happening.
Well, it would be like if you could find one of those guys, whether it's Brazel or not, but one of those guys in the second round, if you're Borgonzi, like that would be awesome. I mean, I'm still not going to totally discount. I know a lot of the public perception and the momentum right now, just in terms of all the mock drafts that you see and what we've talked about on the show. Like it feels like it's probably going to be an edge rusher at number 4, but I'm not discounting the possibility that they look at Carnell Tate or Mekhi Lemon or whatever it is at number 4, and they say, you know what? That's just a weapon for our quarterback that we feel like we can't pass up in this spot, and that's the way that we go. I mean, he also talked about how he feels like edge rusher is pretty good, and there's some depth to that as well. So, it's not like he just singled out wide receiver as that's the spot where we feel like there's just a ton of depth in the draft.
Yeah, it's just it seems like the way evaluators look at this draft is like you've got those 3 guys and then a pretty significant drop off. Yep. Whereas receiver is a little bit more of just sort of like there's not a huge like a big tier and then a tier way down here, right?
Yeah.
Whereas edge, it feels like if you want to get one of those top guys, you the Titans have a chance to do it, but not many teams will.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. More comments from Mike Borgonzi at the NFL Combine yesterday coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on the Titans at 615-737-1025. We'll have the best and worst things in sports coming up at 6:45. We'll go ahead and take your best and worst things on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Andrew Brunette will be with us at 7:30 as the Preds are back in action tonight, taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. Mike Borgonzi addressing the media yesterday at the NFL Combine. And, Joe, the running back position, and Jeremiah Love in particular, came up with Borgonzi yesterday, and his view on the kind of a player comp here and how he feels about the value of running back was pretty interesting. Here's what Mike Borgonzi had to say at the NFL Combine yesterday.
In terms of positional value, the running back is always lately something that you value. But this year you got a guy that has top 5 talent, Jeremiah.
Yeah.
Where are you on how you look at that position and where it value as far as where you guys are?
Yeah, anytime you can get a running back like that, especially a 3-down running back that can play in the pass game as well and be able to take over a game. You've seen guys in the league now that can do that. I think Gibbs is an example in Detroit that can run in between the tackles. He can, he's a game changer, and you can line him up outside. You can use him as a receiver, and I think this guy in the draft, Jeremiah, does that as well. Yeah.
The same thing about Love. You mentioned Gibbs as well. Is that kind of somebody you see him being kind of in that mode?
I think it's the speed and the ability to play on 3 downs, what you see with those players, and they're tough.
So that was Borgonzi yesterday, Joe, on the Jeremiah Love front. Talked about the ability to play 3 downs, and, he brought up Jahmyr Gibbs. Saleh has brought up Jahmyr Gibbs when it comes to kind of those type of players that they're looking at with Jeremiah Love there. And the speed, obviously, part of it is a big deal. What did you make of his answer on the Jeremiah Love front there? I mean, if he's there at 4, which I'm going to be stunned if he's not there at 4, it is going to be interesting to see how much of serious consideration the Titans give to doing that. Because, I mean, look, Joe, if you told me he's going to be Jahmyr Gibbs, I'd be like, sure, take him at 4. Why not?
Right. Yeah, if it's going to be Gibbs, Barkley, Bijan Robinson, then I think that's hard to pass up. It's I like right now. If I had to bet, I think they're going to take one of those edge guys. I think it totally just adds up to that, especially considering the head coach and what he has done in his career and what he values. And just because I think those 3 guys on big boards, I don't think there's going to be a gap, if any, if they're even behind a Love on a big board. I think there's, maybe I'm wrong on that, but I feel like those guys on big boards are right there too. At least they're right there with him, if not even ahead of him. So, I'd be very surprised. But if that's the case, like I said yesterday, I'm not going to be upset. I mean, I think that would speak to the Titans believing that this is a player who just changes the math, tilts the field for you. And again, those guys I just mentioned, if he is that level of player, and that's no sure thing at all. A hell of a college player, but there are plenty of great college running backs who don't do anything in the NFL. That's not going to be him. But there are plenty of great college running backs who are good in the NFL. And if he's good, then you don't use the 4th pick on him. But if he's one of those guys, I understand the Falcons haven't won because they have a lot of other issues. They've had a lot of other mismanagement, which is why all new people are in charge now. And if you've watched Bijan Robinson play, you'll take that guy. Every team in this league will. That guy, that's why they've had, any success is really those 2 running backs, but obviously him. I mean, Algier is also a great sort of counterpunch to him, but he's an unbelievable player. I don't know if Love is that. I don't know if he's that good in the NFL. I absolutely believe he's going to be a productive starter who's probably going to have multiple 1,000-yard seasons. But I'm talking about, Gibbs, a home run hitter like that, makes such a difference. And I do think that Love, we've seen him hit some home runs in college that suggests that he can do that at the next level.
Well, I mean, I remember, Gibbs, what was it, 2023 draft when Detroit took him? and they took him at 12 overall, and they just got hammered for that pick. They're like, really?
Yeah.
You just took Jahmyr Gibbs, like a running back at number 12
I think
overall?
I made fun of him on our show. I'm quite sure I did.
Well, and I think it was the combination, right? Because didn't they take, was it Jack Campbell?
That took an inside linebacker
yeah.
and a running back. It's like, oh, it's 1987 all over.
Right, and they were both in the first round. Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell. They took back-to-back, and they just got hammered for those decisions. And those have worked out pretty well for the Lions. And you're talking about, the 12th overall pick there they get slammed for, Joe, and much less the 4th that the Titans have coming up. But I would guarantee you, like if you ask Lions fans, probably a pretty good decision to take Jahmyr Gibbs at number 12 where they got it.
No question. I mean, no one would dispute that now. It was a great pick. And it's picks like that make this discussion more valid, right? When you see an outcome like that or an outcome like Bijan, again, look at Saquon Barkley. Hurt, bad teams and all that stuff, but that was a good pick by the Giants. Like he is that good, at the time. And obviously what he did last year with the 2024 season with the Eagles was he transformed. I mean, they're a great team anyway, loaded, but like, what if that team didn't have him? I mean, he's a huge part of them winning it all. Joe Black on YouTube's asking about Breece Hall. I believe they said they're tagging him.
Yeah.
Did they not?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's not going to make it.
And by the way, someone on the text line put up a quote when we were talking about Linderbaum. It's apparently DeGosta said they will not tag him. So I missed that. So that's important.
That's fine. I don't think that's going to impact the deal much. Like
they're going to make the deal.
They're going to make the deal. Yeah.
Yeah. But he at least has put out there like it won't be a tag if not.
Well, I don't blame it because like it's offensive line. Like I wouldn't tag a center for $30 million a year either. So
well, they've said they've put out a market setting deal for him, or at least they've offered one.
Yeah. So I would be pretty surprised if he actually makes it to free agency. Not impossible, but I'd be surprised.
If he does, it just means that he wants the heck out. And he'll make more money if he gives the open market. Sure, that's for sure. He'll get more if he gets out to the open market. There will be a lot of people pursuing him. Also, I mean, to me, if he does that, he's probably just like a lot of guys. He's probably high on the list as who's a contender who's going to pay me that money, because there will be teams in that realm too, probably.
Yep. Get Cade Mays back in here, Joe. Just get all the Tennessee connections you can get.
Yeah. Brazel and Cade Mays.
Yeah.
Come on. Let's see.
Well, they disrespected the Vols by taking Levis at one time, and you got some opportunity here to really turn that thing around if you want to, if you're Borgonzi.
Peyton Manning.
Finally make it right. Yes, it is time to make it right for Vol Nation. Ed says in the last 20 years, a Super Bowl winner, 13 have not had a 1,000-yard receiver. If that's a true stat, Ed, that is a very interesting stat.
Off the top of my head, it's like, well, how many of those were Travis Kelce and Rob Gronkowski, who were 1,000-yard tight ends? Right.
Right.
I mean,
to make up for the lack of a 1,000-yard receiver. Yeah.
I mean, the one who just won the Super Bowl definitely had a 1,000-yard receiver, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say you definitely want a good receiver.
AJ Brown, pretty good.
Kind of matters.
Yeah. I think the receiver is pretty important.
Ed just wants sports to be permanently stuck in 1988. I respect it, Ed.
I do too. I mean, we're talking about running backs and inside linebackers right now, so
Exactly.
I mean, I guess I should point that out. I mean, Borgonzi did say another position he thought was pretty deep was linebacker. So find yourself another good off the ball linebacker in this draft.
I must say, I'm very, there's a lot of talk about Tic Tac Titans on the YouTube chat and his excellent questions and his journalism. That's sort of best in class journalism on the Titans beat this week. But how did no one ask him about Calvin Ridley yesterday?
Kuharski said he was going to do it.
Someone asked him about Snead.
Yeah.
And the Snead thing. But I saw Terry McCormick, I thought, made a really good point, which was with Salah, with some of the guys they were asked about, like Sweat and some of those guys. He talked in specifics, he kind of got into like a little bit of like what they would, their role and things like that, a little bit. Whereas with Snead and with Ridley, it was sort of just generalities kind of brushing off the question, which I thought was an interesting point by him.
Oh, it is.
Well, like we all know Snead's gone. Like but we didn't need to ask the Snead question. We need to ask the Ridley question because that to me is still a little bit of a question.
I agree. Now, having said that, the way that Borgonzi answered the Snead question is probably exactly what he would have done with Ridley, which is like if he wasn't even willing to say, yeah, we're probably going to move on from Snead. And he basically said, yeah, we're working through all those decisions right now with a lot of guys on the roster. That's probably exactly what he would have said with Calvin Ridley. But yeah, I would have liked to seen it be asked.
Sure. A lot of times, the answer is probably not be good, but you still got to ask it, guys. So, and look, I mean, Tic Tac.
That's why you should have been
giving you a lot. We're giving you a lot of love, Tic Tac, but this was a big opportunity for you, and you blew it.
It's true. Well, and PK, I mean, Big Al on the YouTube chat pointing out that PK got distracted by Tic Tac. He didn't ask the questions that he's supposed to ask.
He was just like glaring at him instead of focusing on his job.
Mike, I have no idea what to ask you anymore.
I really need a video video from the podium perspective. I needed Borgonzi to wear like those video glasses.
Yeah.
And like just see those guys milling about.
It was pretty funny.
Karski and Tic Tac jostling with each other.
Like Tic Tac started to, and again, I don't know this person's name. Apparently you do. What's his name?
Oh, someone's. I think is it Tyler? Is that right? Taylor or Tyler?
Okay, we'll go with Tyler. Tyler started to ask a question, and Borgonzi started to smirk when he was asking a question. And
really?
I saw some I watched the press conference yesterday a little bit later, like when the Titans put it out on YouTube, and I saw some comments in there, and they're like, Borgonzi knows who Tic Tac is. He started laughing when he was asking a question.
Here's my favorite journalist finally asked me a question. All of you will be quiet. Big J journalism.
The best and worst things in sports coming up next. Rexrode's Borgonzi impression, definitely the best thing in sports. We'll get more into that coming up. Robby and Rexrode 102.5 The Game.
The best and worst of the sports week, now on Robby and Rexrode.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is the worst. You look like you're feeling sorry for yourself. I believe in miracles. Yes! Unbelievable.
He's one of one. He is him.
This is a Coke bottle. It's not a crystal ball.
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
Okay, let's go. It is time for the best and worst things in sports. We'll take your best things, your worst things on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Joe Rexrode, kick us off with your best and worst things in the world of sports.
So I probably should just let the Olympic gold medal hockey game to you guys. You guys can take it too. You know, it's not fair that I always get to go first. I have to mention it at least, right?
Sure.
I think it probably should be mentioned in everybody's answer, the Olympic gold medal. But I will throw another one in here, and I think she could probably get a best every week of basketball season. Like Michaela Blake's is just an incredible player. And if anybody watched the Vanderbilt-Kentucky game, 81-79 Vanderbilt on Sunday, just an amazing game. Like the shot making in this game was on both sides was tremendous. And she just has a casual 35 in this game, 35 points, 3 assists, 5 rebounds, couple steals. She should be National Player of the Year. I don't know if she's going to get it. I think Sarah Strong from UConn doesn't have the numbers. Obviously is an amazing player, but is also playing on a much more loaded team. Michaela Blake's is if she doesn't win National Player of the Year this year, I will tell you that next year she's the clear favorite. I'm going to go ahead and just assume she's back at Vanderbilt as a junior. And if the portal is used well by Shea Ralph with what they already have, I mean, we could be talking about a preseason number one and like a national championship favorite possibly next year. So that's what's possibly ahead for Vanderbilt. My worst in sports, I could go to what I talked about yesterday and the politicizing of everything, including this amazing effort by the men's hockey team and the gold medals for both of those hockey teams. But I'm going to go with the combine. It sucks. It's a joke. It's garbage. That's my worst in sports.
Jeez. Well, they haven't even
hater.
Just wait till they start doing some of these drills. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh my goodness! Everybody get your popcorn. NFL Network. I would watch I would watch the 2 last place teams in the MEAC. Okay, over a single drill in the NFL. I just want people to know if the worst 2 teams in the MEAC are playing, I will absolutely watch every second of that as long as I don't have to watch one 40-yard dash.
I agree. Ian Safar, your best and worst things in the world of sports.
Yeah, I mean, the hockey golds are on there, for sure. But I think my other best is Wemby and the Spurs. This Wemby kid is looking legit. And it's just hard for these guys to live up to the hype when some of these guys are hyped up so much. And so far, he's living up to it. So them and the Spurs, I don't know if they'll be able to make any type of postseason run. But best this week, Wemby and the Spurs. My worst this week, another passing in the NFL. Rondale Moore.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous. Just terribly sad, and so I just thought I'd mention it and thoughts out to everybody out there. And yeah, terrible situation.
Yeah, Joe, I'm getting scared of talking about people on the show. We talked about the lead singer of 3 Doors Down, and then the next day died. We mentioned Rondale Moore last week, and then he passed away. It's very weird how this has gone down here. But Rondale Moore, it's just, 25 years old. It's incredibly sad. There's no doubt about that. My best thing in sports, I'll add to the Olympic thing. The decision, there's been a cool video that's come out kind of since then, and you could see Dylan Larkin, Zach Werenski, and Matthew Tkachuk trying to find where Johnny Gaudreau's family is in the crowd. And then they eventually find him, obviously. And Dylan Larkin and Zach Werenski go up and get his kids. I just thought that was awesome. And that's gotten lost in all the other crap that's been thrown out there this week. But, having Gaudreau's kids come out there and take the picture after you win the gold medal and going through a pretty intentional process to go find them, it was pretty cool. So Shout out to the Gaudreau family. They've been through a lot. I think Johnny would have probably been on the team, may have had a good role on the team. So just really cool stuff after they win the gold medal to get the Gaudreau kids out there as well. My worst thing in sports, the conversation around the NBA tanking, Joe. It is pretty funny. Like some of the people I've heard talking about this are like, well, tanking's always happened. It's always happened in the NBA. And it's like, okay, that's probably true. Have you ever had like 17 teams trying to tank at the same time? Because that's basically what we're seeing right now. I mean, the product right now is just not very good. Now, I will say the top of it's still pretty good, right? Like when you get good matchup, I mean, the Pistons, nice win yesterday against OKC. I mean, top of the league, still pretty good. But the bottom part of this league right now is an absolute mess in the National Basketball Association. Not good.
No, it is. It's obviously, big part of it is because there are so many players, players coming out in this draft that, when you have players that are this young who are coming out, who are this good, people, obviously NBA teams, age is a thing, right? Like sometimes I think it's overblown. It's like, I don't care if that guy's 23, watch him play. You want him on your team, right?
Yeah.
But there's the look at what else could be out there for this player. And there's so many guys like that. So there's a lot of it. I will throw in a quick, best and a lot of submissions, but another quick best is, again, I've said it before, but Vol Twitter and Vol fans and really fans, sports fans in general. I mean, Scott Van Pelt, I know, we've had a lot of people who have contributed to Wes Rucker. It's an amazing thing. I'm in Knoxville right now because I was at his funeral yesterday, which was, as the whole thing is as heart ripping as you would imagine. But like the response from people to this is absolutely deserves the best in sports.
Yep, no doubt about that. A lot of votes for the Olympic gold medal is the best things in sports. Another vote for Vanderbilt women's basketball is the best thing in sports. Again, they're back at it today. By the way, Tennessee on the road at LSU tonight on the women's front, Joe. So interesting to see how that one goes for Kim Caldwell.
Yeah, that's be competitive would be my suggestion. People, by the way, people are, they're not going to miss the NCAA tournament, and some people talking about that. They're not going to. I got to read Keith here. He says, "People that enjoy the combine remind me of the great quote from Kenny Powers. Quote: I play real sports, not trying to be the best at exercising." End quote.
There is something
to that.
Great
Kenny Powers. Oh man,
there is something to that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. There was some kind of sort of news that Mike Borgonzi made yesterday at the NFL Combine that we'll get into coming up next. Andrew Brunette will be with us at 7:30. The Predators back in action tonight, taking on Chicago. More coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game, presented by Green Ventures Landscaping, outdoor patios, landscaping design, lawn maintenance, and more. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning. We'll have Andrew Brunette with us later this hour at 7:30. Predators back in action tonight, coming off the Olympic break. They'll take on Chicago. A lot of games coming up in a very short amount of time for the Nashville Predators, so we'll get into all that with Andrew Brunette a little bit later in the show. Normally joined by Charles Robinson on Thursday mornings at 8 o'clock. He is at the NFL Combine, some scheduling stuff going on. He will be with us tomorrow on the show. I think 7:30 tomorrow is when he'll be on the show. So looking forward to that. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. Joe, there was some news that Mike Borgonzi threw out there yesterday at his media setting. This has not come to pass yet, but it is news that looks like the Titans are trying to make this happen. Peter Skoronski, I think certainly this year, Joe, even despite the 3-14 record and all the losing that's going on, Skoronski's pretty good for the Titans this year, which is a welcome development, right? Like I think at the end of last season, so I guess technically now 2 seasons ago, he started to come on a little bit, and the improvement was pretty obvious. And then this past season, I thought he was pretty solid all the way through, particularly given, what was, I think, an up and down offensive line around him. And now the question is, all right, so long term, what's that deal going to look like for Peter Skoronski? And, the Titans going to have the 5th-year option come into play, all those things. Here's what Mike Borgonzi had to say on the Peter Skoronski front yesterday.
Have you picked up the 5th-year option on Peter yet? Do you want to get an extension done?
Yeah, with Peter, he's one of our better players, and we like him here long term. And the 5th-year option is always a tool, a mechanism you can use. But we're going to work to try to get something done here with Peter.
So, Peter Skoronski, you heard it there from Borgonzi. They're going to try to get a deal done with Peter Skoronski. It's not surprising. I mean, look, being picked 11th overall is Skoronski ever going to be a perennial, all-pro type of guard that you really want when you're picking a guard at number 11 overall? I don't know. I tend to think probably not. But he is at least, at this point, Joe, turned into a pretty darn good player there on the offensive line. And, given the fact that with all the drafting that's going on around here that's just been absolutely disastrous, we've talked about the need to get more of these guys to second deals and second contracts and get players in here that actually warrant conversation to having a second contract. Well, Skoronski definitely falls into that mold. Whether or not he ever lives up to being drafted 11th overall with the position he plays, I don't know, Joe. I tend to lean no. But he definitely falls into second contract mode. And it's nice to see a Titans player have that discussion. It doesn't happen very often around here.
Right. You obviously want a lot more of those. Good to have it. Another thing is when you have something like this, there shouldn't be any question, because when you have so few players who get to this, you shouldn't have any, when you get one who clearly needs to be, to me, after what he did last year, I think clearly you want him long term. There's no question. You got the money, so make it happen. It kind of goes along. Going back to Xavier Woods, I still am a little puzzled, just because you're saving $3 million, right? I guess there's probably more to the story, but just from what I know, I don't see why you wouldn't want him around for depth if the savings is only $3 million. But with Skoronski, yeah, you got to make it happen. They will make it happen. That was probably as close to a definitive answer as Borgonzi gave yesterday on anything, right?
Yeah, I thought so too, for sure. So, I mean, now you're talking about trying to get your guard locked in long term. J.C. Latham, I thought, took a step at the end of this past season. What does that look like to start next year? In the meantime, you've now got to find another center. You got to figure out what you're going to do at right guard. You got the Mandor at left tackle right now. Eventually, as you've pointed out, you're going to have to find a replacement there. So, it's kind of wild to think about this, Joe, but as much as they have invested and addressed with the offensive line over the past few years, there's still a lot in the relative short term that's kind of in flux here, right? Like you've got a center you got to figure out, you got a right guard you got to figure out, and then in the not too distant future, you're going to have a left tackle you're going to have to figure out. And that's assuming, Joe, that the right tackle that you've already drafted solidifies himself moving forward, which I think he started to do at the end of last season, but we'll see how it starts next year with Latham.
Yeah, he's as important a person, I think, on this team in terms of, Cam Ward is number one in terms of hoping for improvement from last year to this year, but it'd probably go Latham and then Oladejo. I mean, even if they draft one of these edges at 4, Oladejo needs to be a guy who can be in a rotation and can play. Those two guys, but if you think about offensive line, so you're good at left guard. You'd rather know you're good at left tackle, or you're good at center or even right tackle, but you're good at left guard. You have a chance to be, I think, good and solidified long term at right tackle. So it's just those two spots. We know now that they're in the market for a center. It'd be great to have a young center, cheap, who you can develop, but maybe there is an answer in free agency. Maybe the answer is on the roster. Like you can be fine at like right guard with whoever. Like if you're set at the other spots, very few teams out there have like high pick / high investment at all 5 spots, right?
Yeah.
But center is just, you can't. You have to be good there. And then, yeah, the left tackle thing is really interesting. They're going to go with Mandor this year. Some point we'll say his actual name. You need to earn your actual name. Mandor. Can Mandor become Dan Moore next year, where we just call him Dan Moore? I think that'll be the metric. Yeah, we don't need EPA. We don't need the PFF grades. That's the metric. If Mandor becomes Dan Moore, but he's okay. He is better than they've been. I still have concerns about that because I'm sorry, but I feel like Cam Ward, and it depended on the matchup, right? But I just feel like Cam Ward at times last year knew that it was a problem, and I think it affected him in the pocket. And you just, beyond the sack numbers and everything, that's not good for your rookie quarterback who's or your young quarterback trying to work all these other things out. And if he does not have confidence in his left tackle, then that you're starting at a disadvantage right there. But it's going to be, he's going to be the guy next year, barring something pretty surprising.
Yeah, I think, getting through one more year with him and then figuring out your future at left tackle after that is probably going to be the way that they have to go here. I still, when and how are you addressing center this offseason? Is it free agency? Is it in the draft? Because that's probably what, you can find, Joe, not every year, but there have been plenty of teams that have found their center in the 4th or 5th round where you're paying, basically nothing for a young center to come in to develop. And then, eventually, hopefully growing into the center that's kind of your long-term solution there. But also the risk that you take with that, Joe, is you've got a young center coming into the league with a young quarterback. And this. We've talked about Ben Jones before, right? Like Ben Jones at center, obviously, blocking and doing that part of the job, important. But also identifying what you're seeing, you're the captain of the offensive line. You got to figure out what you're looking at out there, the calls to make, all those things. And, the Packers have gone through this a couple of times with younger centermen, and LaFleur's talked about the challenge of that, trying to get that person up to snuff. It's not the easiest thing to do at the NFL level. So if you go that route, if you're the Titans and you're going with a young guy out of the draft, there very well could be some growing pains along with that early in the year, as opposed to another veteran option that you might have.
Yeah, if any of those guys after Linderbaum, people are texting about him, we've talked about it. It just sounds great, but I have doubts that that's going to be an option for the Titans. But if any of those veterans can do the job, I like that idea. Center is a position that I think is often overlooked or at least underrated. I'll go to another NFC North team. I would argue that the Lions, one of their top 5 players was Frank Ragnow.
Yep.
The guy who, played with a fractured throat. And then last year he's out, and all of a sudden they looked very different up front. It wasn't just that, but it was the main thing. They had a pretty bad center, young center, Glasgow, in where they previously had a great player. And it's amazing how that can affect so many things.
Yeah.
So it's critical. Ben, like I said earlier in the show, in 2016, we always talk about drafting Henry and getting Byard and getting DeMarco Murray and all the things, drafting Conklin, all those things. Signing Ben Jones as a free agent was one of the best moves that John Robinson did in his entire tenure with the Titans. As a player, as an all-time tough guy and leader and all that stuff, so important. So you really have to address that. I liked what they did when they signed Cushenberry. I thought that was that Rand at least boiling a little water maybe, but it's not his fault that he tore his Achilles. I think that was the right idea. Get a guy like that, and they invested in it, and so now it is really important that they figure that out for next year. For Cam Ward, he really needs a reliable leader and a good player directly in front of him.
I would describe the Cushenberry move from Rand as like the stove was turned on, but it wasn't plugged into the wall. That's how I describe it.
Okay.
At least turn the stove on.
That's fair.
Nothing really came of it, but he turned the stove on.
Got close to cooking.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're approaching cooking.
I got a question for Preds fans that I want to get to the bottom of coming up next. We'll do that. Andrew Brunette will be with us at 7:30. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. We'll have Andrew Brunette coming up here in about 10 minutes. Preds back in action tonight, taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. So I was thinking about this yesterday. You know, Chicago tonight, you've got Detroit on Monday. I mean, they're Dallas is on the road Saturday. I can pretty much trace back through history, Joe, of like the Predators and the biggest rivals that they've had, right? Like, when they first came in the league forever, I mean, it was Detroit, right? Like you were chasing the Red Wings, and the Red Wings had all this money, and you were this small market team, and there was no salary cap at that point. And, the payroll that the Red Wings trotted out there versus your payroll was a miracle you ever won a game.
What a glorious time it was. What a glorious time in the world.
Absolutely. I mean, younger Rexrode
I don't know about
was
that.
just thrilled.
Not for Preds fans.
We were the Yankees.
That's true.
We were the Yankees. It was true once. Stupid salary cap.
So, I mean, look, I would argue that the Red Wings were the Preds' biggest rival. Certainly up until they beat them in the playoff series in 2012. And then, obviously shortly after that, the Red Wings flipped over to the East, and It just became different. And then for a while, Joe, obviously was Chicago, right? Like Chicago with Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews and Duncan Keith and all those guys. They were winning championships or playoff series that you played against them. And that's what, it's part of what made 2017 so sweet was you swept them, right? Like, I mean, not only did you beat them, but you swept them. Kind of mixed in there, I would argue, Joe, is like the Ducks. You've had a lot of playoff series against the Ducks. You really hated the Ducks, right? Like, I mean, it was Perry, it was Kessler. Like they did not like each other on the ice, and the fans certainly didn't like them either. There was probably a smaller run after that where it was Dallas, where every time they met up with Dallas, you had the Winter Classic, you had a playoff series mixed in there too. Didn't go well. Who is the Predators' biggest rival right now? I don't know. Like, I feel like there's always been a clear answer to that based on going throughout history as I just did. And, Chicago has been down for a while now at this point. Obviously, like the Predators, they haven't had like some especially contentious playoff series as of late. I mean, they didn't make the playoffs last year. They didn't make the playoffs 3 years ago. They had a series against Vancouver, but I don't think Vancouver fits into that mold right now.
No.
So that's my question for Predators fans right now. Like, who do you think the biggest rival for the Predators is right now? And I don't know the answer.
Yeah, it's a great question. They've also had playoff series, multiple against Colorado.
Yep.
That's like a team you're chasing. Dallas could be a good one, especially with the Duchesne stuff. Obviously, they had that really tough series back in 19, but I think the answer would still be Chicago. Yeah, obviously, we thought the Jets. I know I did. Like in any time, like this might be epic for the next few years. Preds Jets. It's a great series. It was just like any series in this league that goes 7 games, there's going to be nastiness that accompanies it and all that. I thought that we were set up for something there, but it obviously never materialized. I still feel like Chicago. I still feel like there's some enjoyment of Chicago being this bad for this long, and also almost like a race to which of these teams, becomes truly relevant first,
right?
Even though they're in very different situations. That would be my guess that most people would answer.
The couple of answers so far, the biggest rival for the Predators is themselves right now. So there's that. We do have a couple of votes for the Wild. I mean, those games are chippy, but I guess my question
need a playoff series.
Yeah, is there a hatred between Predators fans and Wild fans? I mean, I don't know that I really detect that. I guess this is the first time in their history where I feel like you can ask this question to Predators fans and there's not a clear answer. Like, we're getting a lot of answers on the text line right now and they're all over the place. There's not really a clear answer.
Yeah, Luke ranks the Blues first and they certainly deserve mention. But Yeah, and I think some of that is also, I think when you're really good, it's easier to have rivals.
Yes.
Right. I mean, I think that's part of it.
To a degree, but I mean, like again, like early in their existence, it was like the Red Wings, right? And,
yeah,
that was different. Yeah,
it was. That was the combination of chasing a team, playing them a lot, right?
Right.
And then also eventually there's some stuff, I mean, I remember like the Shea Weber, Zetterberg stuff and all that. You got some good stuff.
Well, even
going
then,
between those
in the
guys.
early days, the crowds were like almost 50-50.
Yeah.
When Detroit would come to town.
Right.
In the early days, because
The
there were
Pred
so
Wings.
many Pred Wings.
Yep.
Exactly. Back
Pred
then
Wings.
there was like a big Detroit movement down here with the Saturn plant.
Yeah.
And that was a thing back then, before everybody from every other state moved here at the same time. So at the beginning, especially when, my family had season tickets for the first, I don't know, till 2003.
Yeah.
2004, something like that. We got them right off the bat. So I used to go to a lot of games as a fan in high school, and it was always a big deal against the Red Wings.
Always.
And it was, not fun being the little brother. It felt like, and just absolutely no chance.
Like, wow, there's
and going
Lidstrom
up against
and
these
Datsuk
guys,
and Yzerman and all these guys.
the roster the Preds have, like, I don't know how many people go back that far, but the expansion stuff, we've talked about this multiple times, was just not the same. And the roster for the Preds in the beginning was just absolute cheeks. And they did their best, and it was fun, and it was scrappy, but it was an underdog mentality, it felt that way against Detroit big time.
Yeah, and their first year is coming right off the Red Wings winning back-to-back titles. So that's where that franchise was at that point.
Yep. It's that's just it's a question to think about, because like I said, I mean, you can go back through history, and I think they've always had at least one that you could point to, and I just wonder what that is right now for Predators fans.
And like Anaheim is just all that is it's the people.
Yeah.
Right. And it's situational, because like you said, you had back-to-back playoff series against them, beat them both times. But that's just so sometimes it's like you need some dudes who hate each other.
Yeah, need some villains.
and you need villains, and those guys were legit villains.
Yeah, they were.
Not just to the Preds.
There's no doubt. 615-7. Go ahead.
Sorry, Nevada Josh, good point. It should be the Mammoths, because that's what we eat. That's a very fair point,
Ice Age.
Nevada Josh.
Ice Age.
Yes,
Nothing spells hatred like Nashville and Utah. We'll have Andrew Brunette coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning. Preds back in action tonight. They're coming off the Olympic break. Chicago is in town. And to help us talk more about that, we head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Andrew Brunette to the program, head coach of the Nashville Predators. And he is presented by Aero Exterminators, going beyond the call. Aero Exterminators, a proud partner with the Nashville Predators. Andrew, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Doing good.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with us. Hope you had a good break. What did you make of the Olympic hockey that we saw, particularly the gold medal game between the United States and Canada? I know, I'm sorry, it did not work out well for your squad there, but what did you make of the game?
I thought it was an unbelievable exhibition of hockey. Obviously, the gold medal game, was the icing on the cake of a great, Olympic hockey. I think the Thursday, the quarterfinal games, especially the three that I watched, was probably the greatest day for hockey that I've ever been around. All three overtime games, lots of drama, just great, like I said, a great theater for the game of hockey. Anybody that tuned in, a hockey fan or not, it'd be hard not to be drawn into everything that went on. And like I said, the icing on the cake was the gold medal game. And you wish they kept playing. I mean, it was just that kind of hockey. You just wanted to keep going and going and going. And we were very fortunate to be able to watch that exhibition. Everybody that watched that game.
McCarron, Cole Smith, any of these guys talking trash this week? Is this a thing?
Oh, of course. Yeah, a lot of banter, a lot of fun. A lot of proud Canadians too that they're having fun rubbing it in. So I think everybody just enjoyed the hockey. It's to the final, both and anybody that watched the women's, we haven't even talked about the women's yet and the games that went on there in the semis and the finals. It was just great hockey, and I'm so happy that the men went to the Olympics. As a lot of it was player, driven to, they wanted to go best on best, and they've been talking about it, and they put a great show on.
So Andrew, Kevin Fiala, obviously, big injury, and we know that like Sidney Crosby, I guess, is going to be out another 4 weeks. I mean, it's probably going to happen when you have best on best and you have games with these kinds of stakes. You also, I feel like huge numbers. For this gold medal game Sunday. I think this is great for hockey. I feel like you bring in people who, don't normally watch. I think you have a chance to create new fans. But how do you, as a coach in this league, look at that and balance those things as we talk about, 2030 and beyond doing this again, potentially?
Well, you hold your breath, right? I think every team, is afraid to lose a player. And that's a little bit of the catch. Obviously, it's great for the game of hockey. It's great for the players, but for the teams that are sitting back here in North America waiting and every time Roman goes on the ice or Phil, or Juice or Halsey, you're just, again, hoping the best and rooting them on, but, making sure they're healthy because they're all game 7, especially starting that quarterfinal game. And we all know what happens in game 7 where you're going to lay everything you have out there, lay your body on the line. And that's where you always fierce, you're always have fear that you're going to lose a player. So it is a little bit of a yin yang there. I'm talking the first part more of a hockey fan. As a coach, you're worried.
So Andrew, obviously it's going to be a sprint to the finish here with the amount of games that you have in a very short amount of time. On the one hand, it was probably good to get the break and get a reprieve from what's been a crazy schedule up until this point. And now it's, how quickly can guys restart? So as a coach, how do you kind of view that coming off of, it's been a couple of weeks now since you guys have played hockey. You got a game tonight and then you're just right back into the thick of it with, I think 5 games in the next 7 days. How do you kind of view that part of it? What's going to be the key to getting off to a fast start here, do you think?
Yeah, I've been through, I don't know how many of them now, probably 5 of them. Just my 6th one or 5th one. It's gone every different way. I think every year there's teams that come out of this and take off. There's teams that are maybe higher in the standings, drop a little bit, have trouble finding their game. And I wish I had the rhyme or the reason for the reasons why. I don't. I think, the focus since we got back, I guess 10 days ago, 9 days ago, was just making sure that we're ready to go tonight. And, I could talk as much as I want. We can prepare ourselves the best we can, where we don't really have the luxury to ease into this. There's teams ahead of us that, can take a few games to get going. We have to be ready. And our mindset's been right. Our practices have been really good. There's been a lot of energy. To me, a lot of it goes down to a little bit of the details in the game. Obviously, we're going to have a lot of energy coming out by playing, but can we get back to the battle level and the detail-orientated, say, systematically that we need coming into tonight? Because I think these first few games, those are the things that'll step up, and I feel we're ready. The guys worked extremely hard here through this stretch. We've gone through a lot of different scenarios. We've regrouped. We've been through lots of things together. So I expect our group to work really hard. But beyond that, as a coach, it takes you 3 days after you get to the break where you're still, worried about hockey. Then you get a little rest, and then about 3 days or 4 days before you get back, you're back in that cycle where you can't sleep at night. And these are the things what you don't sleep at. And but I feel we did everything we could to be ready, and now we just got to follow through on it.
Yeah, what about Saros in particular? Some really good performances over there. Really gave a run, obviously, in that last game. How do you think? Where do you think he is in terms of being fresh mentally there to play his best hockey down the stretch?
Well, he should feel extremely proud the way he played. I mean, I thought he was exceptional throughout the tournament. Anybody that watched the Canada-Finland game, and he was great. Even the quarterfinal game against Switzerland, he was dynamic, especially the second and third period. And then the final, the bronze medal game, where that's a really hard game for Finland when you lose a heartbreaker like they lost the night before and have to turn around and play the next afternoon or later afternoon. And the scoreboard said 6-2, but that was a really close hockey game all the way through. And he kind of bailed them out, especially at different stretches. So he should feel really good. The only concern about Juice is, he's kind of got stuck in New York for, through that storm and just kind of got back Wednesday night late. So we'll see how he's doing. He hasn't, played for, 4 days. So we'll take a look at him tonight this morning, see how he's feeling. But he should feel really good. His game was as good as we've seen it.
Andrew, we've talked to you about Stamkos and, how he's changed his game and just how productive he's been down this most recent stretch for you guys. As you guys get fired back up here, how important is it, especially with not only just him, but with the way the power play has been clicking? It felt like you guys really were developing a lot of positive momentum on the power play there. How important to carry that over immediately here once this gets going back up here again tonight against Chicago?
Yeah, extremely important. Again, back to the worry. It was going really good, and I thought it had really good traction. I keep talking about rhythm. I thought they were in really good rhythm, really good cadence in the way they're moving the pucks and the way they're attacking. They felt very comfortable. So I'm hoping they come back in the same stretch again, just like your team game. And power plays are probably even a little bit flightier. The hots and cold spells of them are kind of, they swing a little bit more. So I hope we can grab it because it's going to be a really important part of our game, especially with 25 games and 52 nights. We're going to need some production from the power play. We're going to need it going like it did before the break. And, we're going to need Stammer going. I mean, I think there's a reason why we're in this fight, and he's a huge reason why.
So we get back now, Andrew, and of course, the trading deadline is also coming right around the corner here. Do you address that at all with the group? Or, I mean, obviously everybody knows what's going on, but do you deal with that at all, or just sort of, put your head down, let's work, and whatever happens, happens?
I think individually you do a little bit, but I think as a group, we're in it. We're day to day, and we got to give our best step forward. And if we want to stay together as a group, we're going to have to. These next 5 games are going to be crucial, and I think we understand that. I think we've with the group, we haven't spoken, a big deal about it. Besides, these are huge games. Every game coming forward here, we've worked so hard to get to this point, to be in this fight. to give ourselves the chance to be where we want to go. And, distractions, we've been able to tune them out, and it's going to be crucial here through the stretch because it's a lot of different individuals have a lot of different distractions. And as a group, we got to keep as tight as we've ever been going through the stretch.
Well, Andrew, we're excited to get back at it tonight as you guys take on Chicago. Good luck tonight. Thanks for being with us this morning, and we will talk to you soon.
Okay, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Predators head coach Andrew Brunette, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Brought to you by Aero Exterminators, going beyond the call. Aero Exterminators, a proud partner with the Nashville Predators. Preds back in action tonight, taking on Chicago. They're on the road in Dallas on Saturday, home for an afternoon game on Monday, and then on the road Tuesday. So, Joe, as he said, that's a lot of hockey coming up. We'll see how it goes for the Predators on that front. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
No doubt about it.
You think I don't care about the quarterback?
All these morons getting dumber or just louder.
Now you listen to me here. This quarterback's going to be developed by our friend Brian.
Ducking this issue calls for real leadership.
Thank you for the question for Paul Kowalski.
I didn't expect to stand on a soapbox for Paul Kuharski today.
You guys, just all of you, are so damn soft.
If so, does this cause like a performance issue?
Woo!
It is time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning here on the program. Joe Rexrode's Rant of the Day. Joseph, the floor is yours.
Can anyone tell me what the context of that last comment was?
Nope, which makes it even better.
Yeah, I have no idea. Interesting. Boy, I assume I was talking about sports, but who knows?
Allegedly.
Yeah. Well, I feel bad. I feel bad for the listener here because I've screwed up. This is what I do. Here's what I do a lot is like we'll be in the middle of a show and then I'll be like, oh, yeah, like we need audio of this or that. And then I'll just be like, hey, Ian, can you quickly just put this audio in like 2 seconds? And he always does. I didn't do that because like, it's just like, and I don't even know if it would be easy to find, but I guess I'm asking because we have a very concerning development here, which is Stilly, Squeak Toy Stilly and PK banding together apparently this week to like talk trash about Rand Carthon. So the audio that I was going to ask, it's for Ian to find or if we could figure it out is what the heck did Rand say? What did Rand say apparently to Andrew this week that is causing this this unholy alliance now between Stilly and PK where they're both it's like taking shots at Karski. Name names, Rand. You're media now. That's what we do. Second job you're not good at. Okay, calm down, Karski. And this is like him latching on to like Stilly throws out a little clip of him, whatever. I don't know what he said. Taking shots at Rand. What did Rand say? Someone please tell me, what did Rand say? Does anybody know?
The thing that stands out to me in all this is there's something about the NFL Combine that gets PK riled up, man. Like he was calling out everybody yesterday. Now he's going on Twitter and firing shots at Rand. I mean, what's going on out there? The NFL Combine, that's where PK gets riled up the most.
Do we need Jordan Schultz and Tic Tac Titans to, sort of act like bouncers and throw him in a trash can, calm him down a little bit, cool him off?
I would love to know. We didn't ask this yesterday if he has come into contact with Jordan Schultz there yet or not. Some bad blood still there.
Jordan Schultz is kind of big, right? Kind of a big dude, I think.
Didn't Jordan Schultz about go kick Ian Rappaport's butt in a Starbucks or whatever it was?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. I mean, I wouldn't mess with him. And I don't know, like Tic Tac. I mean, I've only seen like his face really close up like this, screaming in the camera. I don't know like the physical dimensions there. I don't know the arm length, the hand size or anything like that, but
plenty of tools to find out at the Combine though.
Yeah. I mean, chances are he could probably kick Karski's ass. I mean, that's like most humans could. So, just calm down. But so seriously, I figured when I threw this out, there would be a text. Usually people are quick to answer, or that there would be something in YouTube chat. I got nothing. What did he say? No one knows?
I don't know specifically what he said. I have to go do some digging on this.
So are these guys this soft that they're just like imagining something?
I'm sure he said something. I just don't know.
Okay, Joey from Bellevue says, I heard it. Okay, what was it? I need to know. Because, it's like, again, I don't want to. I mean, I'm gonna fry those guys anyway, as we know. Either way. Okay. So YouTube chat says TQ615 says Rand said he got receipts for everyone that attacked him as a person, but not as a GM. Okay. Attacked him as a person. Okay. Well, I mean, who knows what the hell?
What does that mean?
yeah, like what did Still? I mean, yeah, still he says, yeah. I mean, my God, one time he called John Hines baldy. I mean, sometimes he. So who knows what kind of stuff he might have said.
Yep.
But PK, I guess that could be the fall asleep on the plane thing.
Well, I would probably inform Rand at that point that falls under your tenure as general manager.
Well, yes,
you are a general manager on the plane.
Yeah, that's true. But I guess like that would be maybe like a little more personal. I don't know, man. I'm just trying to figure out the parameters of the beef here. Nate says it's not humans, it's humans.
It's true.
That's a very good point.
Make sure you properly use that H.
So Joey from Bellevue says he's pissed about media calling him incompetent. Okay, well, again, like there is a line. There's a line of I think like reasonable, not getting personal, right? And again, look, the day that PK had that report, I mean, we had him I kind of went off on PK, not because there's no relevance to that, okay? But like to me, it's what it is it's a cowardly person in the organization, in my opinion, hiding behind anonymity to call out something that, I'm sorry, man, falling asleep on the plane. You have to like keep your eyelids propped up and watch film. Every GM in the league is just locked. No, I don't need a drink. Nope. Locked in on the film. No one can surf their phone or like watch a movie. It must be locked in on film. I mean, come on.
Vrabel said he watched the Super Bowl on the flight home from the Super Bowl. Vrabel was locked in on film. What does it mean?
Wow. That's great. So we could like break it down for the players in a few months.
I don't know. That was kind of my thought. It's like, really? Like, that was the last game of the year, Brabe. So I don't know what you needed to watch there immediately, but whatever.
He's a masochist. This texter says Rand said, so Rand actually said the sleeping on the plane. This texter says Rand pissed because he got called out for sleeping on the plane. Did he actually say that? If that's the case, then we at least know that he's definitely talking about Kaharski. I don't know. I just, like if he took a shot at somebody, then okay, right? I mean, he's in media now, which is also interesting. But if he's just like, man, that hurt that people said this stuff. Why do PK and Stille have to, act like seventh graders?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there's also, and this is not just a Rand Carthon thing. This is in sports in general. A lot of times, what you consider to be personal and what other people consider to be personal are two very different things, right? Like, so
yes.
What exactly does personal mean would be my question.
Exactly. I mean, look, the bottom line is if you are called bad at your job and you are criticized / even mocked because you're very bad at your job in a situation like this, you will take it personally, but I mean, sometimes that's just what it is, man. Yeah. Like, yeah, if you fail. Now, look, do I think some of the stuff about Rand, again, I like the sleeping on the plane thing, people make a big deal out of that. To me, I think that's dumb. I'm not ripping Karski for reporting it. I'm not saying it's not worth doing something on, but I think people turn that into some huge thing when it wasn't. Was there a lot of stuff coming out about his tenure where he wasn't ready, including Vrabel saying to ownership that he didn't think he was ready? Yeah. I mean, that's, and I think that stuff's all fair. Daniel says Rand said the people who came after him personally, he has receipts and will face them one-on-one. Okay. So I haven't heard it. So if he's actually talking about like, oh yeah, I'll face you now we're getting somewhere. So maybe PK and Jared are banding together because they're afraid that he might kick their ass.
Maybe so. PK's going to have to start walking around Teflon.
How many people want to beat him up? How many people in Indy want to beat PK up right now? Robert says Joe and everybody at the radio station is jealous of Tic Tac Titans, I guess, because he's his own boss and has a successful podcast. Yes. Sure. I mean, you finally gotten to the root of things,
Knock
Robert.
Yourself out.
You've finally gotten to the root of things. It is jealousy across the board. I think the entire city of Nashville is jealous of Tic Tac Titans. I love Tic Tac Titans, and I promote Tic Tac Titans more than anybody probably in
town.
World.
Yeah.
Like, who does more for Tic Tac Titans than me? Who says Tic Tac Titans more than me? No one.
I don't think Tic Tac Titans says Tic Tac Titans as much as you do.
Exactly. Maybe Rand. How about Rand and Tic Tac Titans against Stille and Paulie? Can we have that? Yeah. Maybe they can play like cornhole or something, you know?
Maybe so. Cornhole. 615-737-1025.
It's an actual game.
Is our phone number. It is. There's no doubt. 615-737-1025. A number thrown out there yesterday in connection with a former Titan that's about to be a free agent. That is just amazing. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning. Presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Get thicker grass, better color, and fewer bare spots with turf application. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. We are normally joined by Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports on Thursday mornings at 8 o'clock. He is at the NFL Combine. There's some scheduling stuff going on. So Charles will be with us tomorrow on the show. We'll be joined by Charles at 7:30 on tomorrow's program. So looking forward to that. We'll have Charles tomorrow. We'll have TD tomorrow. So a lot of high-level football information coming your way on tomorrow's program. So looking forward to that. Taking your thoughts, 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Now, Joe, we've talked a lot about Malik Willis. And, earlier this week mentioned that NFL.com had a piece that had him listed as the number one available free agent out there that Greg Rosenthal put together. Jordan Schultz put this out there yesterday, Joe. Says, quote, Packers free agent quarterback Malik Willis is in demand, as expected, and interested teams I've spoken to at the Combine in Indianapolis believe him getting at least $30 million per year is a foregone conclusion. A foregone conclusion. That is what Jordan Schultz said. So, obviously, that made the waves yesterday. Joe, I mean, at the end of the day, if it's what I think it's going to be and it's like a 2-year deal and we'll see what the guaranteed money looks like, then I guess the $30 million per year wouldn't be that big a surprise. But I guess, how deep is this going in terms of what the interest level in Malik Willis is going to be? And if it's fairly high, what does that do to the contract, right? What do you have to pay in order to get him if you're, I don't know, the Dolphins, or depending on what happens with Rodgers, the Steelers, or whoever, whoever's out there interested in Malik Willis, where is this contract going to go? I'm very interested to see what that looks like, because I can't imagine me giving him anything more than a 2-year deal. Is somebody going to do that? Are they going to give him more than that?
That's a great question. Obviously, free agency is what it is. It inflates value. You have, and particularly, we're talking about quarterback. We're in a league now where the reclamation quarterback is obviously a hot thing, with Sam Darnold just winning a Super Bowl and some of the other stories around the league. So I understand, not surprised that there's heavy interest in him. He's going to get a deal. He's going to get a good deal. But I mean, again, you think about even recently, for example, Baker, and at the time it was, he'd been hurt in Cleveland. He was totally cast aside. He gets a $4 million deal for a year.
Yeah.
Up to 8.5. Sam Darnold initially from Minnesota got 10, a 1-year 10. From Minnesota. Geno to Seattle got up to 7 for a year. Daniel Jones last year got 14 with some incentives up to 17.7. This is all from Spotrac. You're telling me now that I understand Malik Willis looked good. He's looked good. It's been a tremendous story. But you're telling me he's going to get a 2 for 60 right now? It's wild.
It is wild. I mean, this is the quote that also got people going yesterday on the Dolphins front from John Eric Sullivan. And look, it hasn't taken a rocket scientist, Joe, to make that connection between Malik Willis and the Dolphins when you're talking about a general manager that they just hired that directly worked with him, and now a head coach that they just hired who directly worked with him. But here's what John Eric Sullivan had to say at the Combine. Quote, Malik is a very, very good kid. It's a testament to him and how he played and the opportunities he got as it pertains to the Miami Dolphins. Any team that's in a needy quarterback situation, if they're telling you they're not talking about Malik Willis, that would be a lie, was the quote that he had. He went on to say, we've talked about a lot of people, a lot of free agents. Malik just one of them. We have no idea what that's going to look like in our room. Are we going to have multiple draft picks? Is it going to be a free agent along with Quinn Ewers? Who knows? We have so many factors in play, a lot of decisions to make, but goes on to talk about how he wishes Malik the best, and he's a great kid. But that was the money quote yesterday of any team that needs a quarterback, if they're telling you they're not talking about Malik Willis, that would be a lie. This is from John Eric Sullivan.
Yeah. I mean,
Makes sense.
Sure he's not wrong. It's a good quote. It's a good, strong quote. And yeah, I'm sure he's not wrong. Texter pointing out, you get the J-Rob connection too. You got John Eric was just with him. J-Rob drafted him. So, but that's the thing. It's like J-Rob drafted him, and then he stood on that sideline along with everybody else. Said, "Oh, geez," like like that. I'm trying to think. Was J-Rob fired
same year? I think
Malik's rookie year.
Yeah,
he was, right. Yeah. So, and even the next year, it was like, yeah, man, it's just not really happening for this kid. So he drafted him, but his personal experience with him is not of a guy who would ever be in the situation Malik Willis is in right now. The Dolphins, certainly that's an obvious possibility. It's also like, think about the Dolphins in terms of the Tua, what they did with Tua, and then like look at their quarterback history here recently.
Yeah.
Tannehill got a second deal, and he should have. He was good, but then they let him go for nothing. They go all in Tua. They give Tua the second instead of doing the option year. They give him the big deal, which was dumb. And now they're going to follow that up with a huge. I'm sorry, but it's if Malik Willis gets 30 a year, and again, what's the guaranteed money? I mean, it's probably like if it's a 2 for $60, the guaranteed money is probably 40 plus 40 to 45, I would assume, something like that. That's an overpay. I'm sorry, but that's just a huge overpay. Like for the Dolphins, I understand it's a different regime, but think about that back to back in terms of quarterback economics.
Well, I mean, the most amazing part of this is, and this is what I think makes it so tough for NFL teams, even if you're a guy like John Eric Sullivan, who's been around him for the last couple of years, like he hasn't played that much. I mean, that's the thing. Like he's looked really good when he's played, but he hadn't played that much. I mean, he started 2 games last year. He started 1 game this past year, and he's come in spot duty in kind of different times since then. And again, has looked good, but you're talking about in the grand scheme of things, 3 starts over the last 2 seasons that you're trying to make this decision on, and 3 starts. Is he about to parlay into $60 million or $45 million guaranteed or whatever it is? Look, again, I hope he does. Like, I am absolutely rooting for him to get whatever he can get here. So I think clearly he is going to be paid a lot of money by somebody this offseason. It's such a small sample size that you're taking a pretty decent risk if you're one of these teams.
Yeah. And look, the money, when it comes down to it, someone making the point, the cap keeps going up. That number, all these numbers, especially with quarterbacks like bargain. I mean, so the cap is flexible. It is going up. I'm interested to see. I mean, I think this number probably has to do a lot with what's the competition level here? How many teams are actually actively interested in trying to land Malik Wilson? Actually think, because I agree with John Eric Sullivan. Are you talking about him? Of course, everybody's talking about him, but they're also saying stuff like you just said. Like, are we sure this sample size is enough? How many teams are talking about him like he is a starter and he should be our starter? That's the question. Frankly, if it's more than 1, then the number is going to be probably pretty big.
Well, and honestly, like just based on what we know now here on February the 26th, Joe, of the quarterback market, there's probably not a better time for Malik Willis to, for the leverage here to become a free agent. Like the quarterback class in the draft doesn't look like it's going to be that good. We've talked about the rest of the free agency part of this at quarterback. I mean, it's not great. I mean, you're talking about, Tua potentially being out there. What's Arizona going to do with Kyler Murray? But like going through the list, like the Jets need a quarterback. Arizona's probably going to need a quarterback. What's Cleveland going to do at quarterback? Miami, obviously, at quarterback. I mean, there's some quarterback needy teams. Minnesota, what are they doing? Are they bringing in somebody to compete with J.J. McCarthy, which they've made it at least seem like they might do that? I mean, there's significant questions out there about quarterback, and there doesn't seem to be, on the surface, paired with that, a strong quarterback class in the draft to go with all that.
No, it's great timing. And one to add to that, the Falcons have made it official that they are cutting Kirk Cousins. If you were if you were a decent team that you feel like you're in you can win next year, would you rather have Kirk Cousins or Malik Willis as your quarterback?
That's a good question. I mean, if you could promise me Malik Willis is going to be what he's been in a small sample size, I'd rather have that, but that's a heck of a risk.
So right, so you don't. So what you I can't promise you. So what are you choosing?
Probably Kirk, but it's tough.
Yeah,
Malik just running around with the ball, like I mean, him just running read option is just so intriguing to me because he got to the point where people knew it was coming, they still couldn't stop it.
Yeah, like he was so much better than like he came in here last season and it was just a hapless team. It was like one of those really like especially in the moment, it was such a low moment for the franchise, right? For him to come in here and win it. But like that, I didn't come away from that game thinking, oh, that guy's going to start. But obviously last year, some glimpses of him, I was like, look, he's just making every throw right now.
Yeah.
He's making every read. He's making every throw. This is not the same guy, but it is still such a small sample size. I think I would probably go Kirk too. You hope that because he actually played pretty well.
He did
when he had to, and you also hope that like another year of the Achilles strengthening. He's old, but he's pretty good. That's going to be really interesting. Is he possibly headed back to Minnesota with O'Connell?
Yeah, there's a lot of people making that connection.
JJ, yeah.
JJ, sit down, son. Bringing Papa Kirk back in here.
Well, Michigan State rivalry renewed.
Absolutely. 615-737-1025. We'll take more reaction to Malik Willis and the money that he could get. We will get back into the Titans moving on from Cushenberry and Xavier Woods coming up next as well. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. I got some tickets to give away to see Belmont women's basketball take on Indiana State at the Curb Event Center coming up this Saturday. To caller 2, rapid fire. Caller 2, 615-737-1025. You'll win a pair of tickets to see the Belmont women take on Indiana State coming up this Saturday. 615-737-1025. I mean, Joe, you threw the Kirk Cousins, Malik Willis question out there. Back-to-back text. Number 1, Kirk Cousins is cooked. Number 2, man, that's not tough. Kirk Cousins is way better. Malik Willis will regress without LaFleur. Back-to-back. I thought that was funny. We had to read that one.
Yeah, and both of those, you may be right, you may be wrong on both of those. To me, if I have a team, frankly, like if I'm a team like Miami, I'd probably give it a shot with Malik.
Correct. Minnesota, maybe different.
Yeah, it just depends on where you are. I need someone ready to come, right? Because I still think we need to learn more about Malik Willis as a week in, week out starter. It looks promising right now, and good for him. Again, it's a great story, and it's great to see because he wasn't an easy situation here and stuff like with everything going around, with everything going on, and he handled it great. And it's great. It's great to see hard work pay off like that. But I still just don't know if he's if he's gonna be what people hope he's gonna be. I would give that a shot. We know what Cousins is. It's just a matter of how much he has left.
So the Titans have released Lloyd Cushenberry and Xavier Woods yesterday. Cushenberry designated with a failed physical. So obviously not good for him there, but the Titans moving on from Lloyd Cushenberry. This would have been his third year of a 4-year deal. So now you've got a new center that you have to go find. And Xavier Woods released as well. So you've got Amani Hooker on the back end at safety, and obviously Kevin Winston, who they spent a third-round pick on last year that they feel good about. What did you make of those two moves, Joe, yesterday by Mike Borgonzi and the Titans, moving on from Cushenberry and Woods?
Yeah, Cushenberry was definitely a big question we had. I thought, forced to guess, I would have guessed you probably keep it going with him, see if maybe another year. We just talking about Cousins and his Achilles. Big guy and Achilles, a little bit of a different deal. Maybe you see if another year removed, it's different. But it was reported he had a failed physical designation on there too. Just unfortunate for him. I don't think that he was even what they hoped he was going to be before the injury, and obviously then the injury is a big deal. So it's just a critical position. It's a critical position, I think, for any team. You look around the league; it's an underrated, under-discussed position. But yeah, maybe the Titans can get away with Corey Levin. I think Corey Levin is a solid swing guy inside. He can give you a start at center, he can give you a start at guard. I don't really like that as the answer. I think that they really need to find somebody permanent and somebody good to do that and proven if possible, or possibly spend one of these picks on someone, and then maybe you hope that person can be up to speed. Maybe it's a competition with 11. You have Slater too, who's a young guy they like, but it's a big hole for a team that has a lot of them. And I'm a little surprised by safety just because you're only saving like $3 million, and I think Xavier Woods seemed like a nice third guy if Winston emerges like you hope he does. So now you're weaker at depth at a place where you didn't have a ton for very minimal savings.
Well, a lot of people have talked about Tyler Lindenbaum of the Ravens at center, and we talked about some comments that Eric DeCosta of the Ravens made earlier in the show of how they have offered Linderbaum a market-setting deal for a center. So we'll see what that looks like. My guess is he ends up back in Baltimore. Jordan Schultz did put this out there a couple of days ago. Says, quote, Linderbaum generating a ton of buzz from teams I've spoken to. If he reaches the open market, the expectation is he could land a deal north of $22 million per year. So, it doesn't look like Baltimore wants to use the tag on him. I would assume that they find a way to get a deal done before free agency gets here. But if they don't and he makes it out there, there's going to be a lot of competition for the services of 25-year-old, 3-time Pro Bowler Tyler Linderbaum.
Yeah, I will be borderline shocked if he's not a Raven next year. it just makes sense. It's just, again, it's an important position, and you have a good one. You keep your good one, your good young center. You keep him. If he's out there, even then, I mean, I just feel like the Titans, with a lot of these guys in free agency, they're going to have to pay a Titans tax, which is you stink, you've stunk for a while. So you've got to me, make up the difference with some guys with how much you're paying them, like make them an offer they can't refuse type thing. And yeah, just like a guy like, I think a lot of these guys, I just think you want to go to a place where you have a chance to win, and where there's proven winning happening there. So you never know, but I feel like there'd be a pretty intense competition for a Linderbaum if he actually got out there.
Well, we were talking, could you find a young center early in the draft, and maybe like the 4th or 5th round? I mean, Linderbaum, an example of, sometimes those guys are good enough where they go in the 1st round. I mean, you're talking about a 1st round pick at center that Baltimore used on him. Now, obviously, when Baltimore made that pick and where they made that pick are two very different things than where the Titans are right now with their roster. But I mean, that just kind of shows you the quality of prospect he was, and he's lived up to that, certainly, in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine if you went through the starting centers in this league, probably, I mean, I can't even think of it. There's probably 1 or 2 others that went in the 1st round, maybe. But, for the most part, that's not the case. And look, some people find good centers late in the draft, or sometimes you got some UDFAs. You got tough as a $2 steak.
Yeah, buddy.
Aaron Brewer, who was one of the highest rated centers in the league last year. I'm just saying. PFF grades. Some people like to use them selectively. I mean, they reflected pretty well on him last year, but it's like Ben Jones with Houston. I think maybe it was like a 4th round pick, maybe, something like that. I mean, it's very likely now that the Titans will do something like that. It's just the problem, of course, is like there are so many needs to address, and now you add that, you got to redo your corner room and so many other things that we constantly talk about at the very top of the needs list, and now you add this. Not great.
I was going through Brugler's top 100 to see if there was a center anywhere in there. The first one I see, Joe, number 83 on the top 100 for Brugler, Jake Slaughter out of Florida. There's your top-rated center on Brugler's big board. Yeah, I love it. Slaughter.
Slaughter, that's a hell of a name. That's
brings me back.
That's what
Webster
Malarkey
Slaughter
put on the wall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh,
I used to love Webster Slaughter back in the day.
Absolutely.
Very good player. Yeah. Well, so it's
another center, Trey Zune the third from Texas A&M. So he has 2 centers in his top 100, Joe, officially.
Okay. Well, that's not bad. I mean, so 3rd round, you get a center.
Yeah.
That might be the move. Obviously we don't know how they think about, Slater's an important thing because there's upside there. We know what Levin is, right? And Levin's a good guy to have around. He's hung in there. I don't know that I'd be excited about the plan being Corey Levin as your starting center starting the season.
615-737-1025, our phone number. Mike Borgonzi addressing the media yesterday at the NFL Combine. We'll get into some of that. Take your thoughts on all things Titans. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
much do you feel the responsibility to give Cam better weapons?
I think we're always trying to, protect the quarterback and support him with weapons. And that's certainly something that we're going to, focus on here this offseason. We added, a few young guys last year in the draft, and they had the opportunity to play this year too, which was great. But certainly that's our goal every year is to add weapons for Cam.
That's Mike Borgonzi yesterday at the NFL Combine. PK with a question there, asking how important is getting the weapons for Cam Ward? The responsibility that Borgonzi feels there. Joe Borgonzi did say that he likes the receivers in this draft. Now, he did not really go into huge detail about anything. I said it earlier in the show. I thought it was a master class from Mike Borgonzi yesterday, Joe, in terms of saying things without really saying anything at all. And that's a skill that general managers develop over time and put on full display. I mean, Floyd Reese used to talk about that all the time. What can I say without actually giving you anything? And I thought that Borgonzi did a good job of that yesterday, Joe.
Yeah, I did too. He's very skilled at that. Comes off, smart, comes off, respectful to anybody he's asked about, but never really committing to anything. Yeah, I think that the Skoronski stuff, I mean, there's some things you can take, like pretty clear, like they're gonna make it happen. If you'd be more vague with that question if there was any doubt, I think.
Yeah.
And so I guess you can read that into it. He's asked about Snead. I need to understand from the people who drive this beat, people like Kuharski, like Tic Tac Titans, et cetera, why Snead is asked about when we all know that. And Ridley is not asked about when, to me, that's a much more valid and relevant question. And again, like you said this earlier, is he going to say anything? Probably not. But you still ask the questions. You never don't ask a question because you think
Sure.
the answer or because you think you won't get an answer. You still have to ask it. That's a big fail by the beat. And by the way, I haven't heard from PK, but the Squeak Toy Stilly's mad at me for my rant. So just want to throw that out there.
Okay.
So he's angry.
Well, I look forward to PK being mad about it later too.
Yeah, whenever he wakes up, pop some Excedrin, maybe get some coffee, get his food in the belly to wipe away that hangover.
He did say yesterday on the show that if there was going to be a night to go hard at the NFL Combine, it would have been last night. So I'm assuming that probably happened, Joe. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, this is a good. I got a little text thread with him and Squeak Toy. So we'll probably find out exactly how hard he went as soon as he sends a text, right? If I don't get a text from him until like noon, we know it was a hell of a night in Indy.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, how could you not have a great night in Indianapolis, right? What a great town.
Built to pound.
at the PK at the hot spot, the trendy place, PK, the sweet little, he's got a little sport coat, it's like Jack Tripper at Regal Beagle, man,
Andy Ben walking around in a Daniel Jones jersey, just hyping everybody up out there. It's good stuff. Really good stuff out there. So I wish PK the best. I hope everything went well for him last night. The Ward part of this, I mean, the depth is kind of what kind of stood out to me of Borgonzi. He talked about there's pretty good depth at wide receiver. And we've talked about maybe early in the second round, could you find some receivers that could come in and make a pretty big difference for you? Whether, it doesn't have to be Carnell Tate at number 4 or Jordan Tyson at number 4. Could you find a receiver early in the second round that comes in and makes a big difference for you? And, Brazel was brought up earlier in the show. I'm very interested to see where he goes because Brazel, out of Tennessee, from a trait standpoint, I mean, you're talking about a guy that's 6'5", 200 pounds. I'm interested to see what he runs, like what his time is on the 40 and what that looks like. But traits wise, I mean, there's a lot there to like. He was in the when you take a look at the Tennessee offense, that's always going to be a question. I mean, we talked about it with Jalen Hyatt, and it's a little bit different. Like, I think Brazel's probably going to go higher than Hyatt did in the draft. Hyatt was a 3rd rounder. I'd be surprised if Brazel got out of the 2nd round, but we'll see. But if you're the Titans, how attractive is that? How attractive is a guy like Omar Cooper out of Indiana? Does he make it to you at your 2nd pick in the 2nd round there? So, you know, they're typically at times in the draft. Also, there's a run on receivers at some point. You know, when you get beyond Tate and Tyson and Mekhi Lemon, when does that next run on receivers start? And again, like I'm not discounting the possibility that the Titans take a receiver at 4. I mean, if you're absolutely in love with Carnell Tate when you get through your draft evaluation here and you think he's the best option for you at number 4, if that's the route they went, I wouldn't criticize that. I mean, I'm all for drafting a high-level receiver. So I'm just saying, I think you can also, if you don't go that route, if they end up with one of these edge rushers, whether it's Bailey, Bain, Reese, whoever it is, at number 4 overall, and then you're sitting there in the 2nd round, early in the 2nd round, I do think there will be some pretty good options that are there at that point.
Yeah, it looks like Joe got a little kicked off Zoom here, so we'll get him worked out.
He got smoked by the hotel Wi-Fi.
I'm interested. What kind of time do you think Brazel's going to run?
I don't know.
If you had
That's
to
a
guess.
good question. Like,
yeah, I know he's fast. You know, is there a time that he needs to hit in order to keep that draft stock high?
That's a good question. Like, you're also like, you're talking about a guy that's 6'5". I mean, he's not going to run a 4.3 or anything. I mean, if he does that, if you're talking about, you know, a 6'5" guy that's running a 4.3, he's not making it out of the 1st round. He's not going to do that. But, you know, could he run somewhere in the 4.5s, right? Like, you're 6'5", you got 4.5 speed, something like that, 4.6. Like, what's that going to look like? That would be my guess. Probably like 4.54 would be my just random guess of what he runs.
Okay. I wonder how, if he, you know, gets to 4.3s by chance, what that would do to his draft stock.
I mean,
if he hit a 4.3,
if he hit a 4.3 something and he was 6'5", I mean, I don't know how. I mean, I'd be surprised at that point if he was there by the time Titans pick. I'd be surprised if he did that. Like, he's a good player. I don't know that he's a burner.
Not that fast.
Like, he's got some good speed to him.
Who was the
I don't
other
know that he's
fast
an absolute burner
kid a couple of years ago? Hyatt.
Well, Hyatt. Like, I think Hyatt is faster than Brazel.
Because he hit a 4.3
Yeah,
something.
like Hyatt's fast. I think Brazel is a more polished receiver.
Not
right?
just
like,
straight line.
Yeah, like he can do straight line. He can go up and get the jump ball, but Brazel can run, you know, your intermediate routes. He can run across the middle. I just think he's probably more polished than Hyatt was coming in. But like Tennessee, you know, beyond just the NFL draft part of it, and I think, you know, he'll at least be an option for the Titans there. But like Tennessee needs him to come in and play well in the NFL. They need somebody in that system as a wide receiver to make it to the NFL and be a productive player. So interested to see what he looks like there. There's the kid from Louisville.
I kind of like the Cooper kid from Indiana.
Yeah.
I saw a couple of mocks that had Titans going edge at 4 and still getting Cooper in the 2nd round. I don't know if that's going to happen.
I think Cooper's pretty good.
I think he might be pretty good. He impressed me with Indiana.
Yeah. And you know, is he, you know, a number 1 wide receiver in the NFL? I don't know, but I think he's pretty good. So I think there will be options there in the 2nd round as a receiver that you're going to like if you're a Titans fan. Now, then the question is, you know, how does the board break down in terms of, because, you know, if you go edge rusher, Ian, as with your first pick, and then you follow it up with a receiver, well, that's great. I have no problem with the Titans doing that. Like, you still don't have any corners on your roster right now. And I know free agency's coming before then, and I'll imagine they'll have a couple of new corners by the time that comes around, but you're still probably going to need one in the draft.
Yeah, Borgonzi spoke about that whole free agency board, draft board, going, you know, comparing the two, which positions of depth are there in free agency versus the positions of depth in the draft and who you might be able to land.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see kind of the moves they make in free agency might tell us where they kind of prioritize the positions of need and what kind of receiver they add in free agency. Surely they're going to add at least one.
You would think.
Right? And whether that's Wan'Dale Robinson and he projects mostly as a slot guy. What that means as far as need for wide receiver in the draft.
Yep.
It'll be fun. It should be fun. I mean, it's going to be a busy offseason, and they have money to spend. So
they sure do.
Yeah.
615-737-1025, our phone number. Final thoughts on the Titans coming up next. We'll take your thoughts on our phone and text lines. Right Time HVAC and Cromwell Media are teaming up to bring comfort back to your home. Is your heating system struggling or completely out of commission following the winter storms? If so, nominate yourself for the Right Time Home Rescue and tell us your story. Enter today at thegamenashville.com/HVAC. Again, that's thegamenashville.com/HVAC, and win a new HVAC system installed by Right Time HVAC as well. Right Time HVAC, locally owned and operated. There's never a wrong time to call Right Time. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Catch Derek Mason with 102.5 The Game at Music City Indian Motorcycle located at 1003 8th Avenue South in Nashville this Saturday from noon to 2. Nash and the Preds Energy team will be there, plus your chance to enter to win Preds tickets and a custom Predators Indian motorcycle signed by the whole team from Law Tigers and from Music City Indian Motorcycle as well. So looking forward to that coming up this Saturday from noon to 2. Preds back in action tonight, taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. Puck drop at 7 o'clock, pregame at 6 o'clock here on 102.5 The Game. We had Predators head coach Andrew Brunette on with us in the show earlier. So if you missed that, check it out, Robby and Rexrode, wherever you get your podcast. Rexrode is back with us. He got sniped by the Wi-Fi out there, but he has overcome, and he's back with us here on the program. Joseph, welcome back.
Yeah, it's great radio. Really sorry. For some reason, living almost 4 years of my life in Marriott hotels isn't enough for the Wi-Fi to work for 3 straight hours. So I'm on my hotspot now. Seems to be okay, huh?
Seems to be.
So the hotspot's at least the hotspot's strong. We figured that out. Good hotspot.
We were talking about Brazel in the last segment after you got sniped and just some receivers that could be there, whether it's him. I mean, Omar Cooper, Ian said he really likes Omar Cooper. People on the text line comparing him to Rashee Rice. I mean, I think Omar Cooper's good. Is he going to be a number 1 type wide receiver in the NFL? I don't know. Kind of have my doubts about that. But I think you can find a pretty good player in your early second-round pick if you're the Titans at wide receiver, if it shakes that way.
Yeah, he's a good player. I like him. There's going to be there's someone, in the teens, right, of these receivers who will be a number 1 receiver.
Yep.
And that happens. You look around the league, there's a lot. There are some guys.
I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba was drafted 21st, wasn't he? 21st overall.
Yeah. And obviously we know AJ Brown and Amon-Ra St. Brown and on. You certainly have your Jamar Chases and Justin Jeffersons too, where it's yep, no doubt about that. There's nobody like that in this draft, obviously, but there are a lot of guys who could end up being a guy. Again, I'm sticking with my story. I'm a Kyle Lemon. Someone is going to have just a tremendous weapon in him, whoever gets him. But yeah, if it's later, Omar Cooper, there are a lot of guys down there, I think, at that position who certainly can come in here, start, and matter and help the Titans, and more pressing of a need if Ridley is indeed going to be gone. And you and PK both kind of made that case too, with Ridley, with new system, slow starts, all that stuff, with everything else, with that question as part of it. Is it worth it to bring him back?
I'll tell you a guy that I really like, and I've watched some of, and then I've watched a lot of highlights of since then. Chris Bell out of Louisville. I think he's a really good player. He tore his ACL in December, so that's a big problem. I was interested to see where he was going to fit in Brugler's top 100. He's at number 53, and I'll read kind of his mock up there for you real quick. It says, Bell passes the eye test with his size and acceleration. He's 6'2", 227. Displays the versatility to be both a bully possession target, run after the catch weapon. He was about 20 spots higher in the rankings before suffering a torn ACL in December, an injury which will sideline him for the entire draft process and potentially the start of the 2026 NFL season. So obviously, Joe, you don't love the torn ACL there. If he fully recovers from it, maybe later on in the draft, he may fall to the 3rd, 4th round. You could get pretty good value pick there if you're the Titans. I think he's pretty good.
No, he is. No, he's absolutely good. And as we've talked about, with Brazel's a guy who higher certainly, but could you get Brazel in the 2nd? Where's Brazel going to go? I'm not afraid of the Brazel because of the scheme or whatever. I mean, there are players going to come out of that scheme, and I still absolutely believe quarterbacks too. I mean, Jackson Dart, we're possibly seeing that happen right now, but there's receivers going to come out of that scheme and they're going to have success in the NFL. And I think he definitely profiles as a guy who could be a very good player. Starting to get also, Robby, news on different guys working out, different guys not. So what, Bain he's not doing anything? Is that right? Bain's doing nothing?
I believe I saw that. I need to double check. They're all running
That
together
is correct.
in my head. Yep.
Yeah, that's again. It's like I don't know. That's kind of disappointing, but he's going to go in the top 10, so fine. Jermod McCoy is an interesting one. Now you could if you're him and his agent, you say, look, you got to remember the ACL, but it was a while ago, right?
Yep.
Like he should be all good. I don't know. That one might hurt him.
Yep,
like,
he's not working out.
He might be a guy who that decision hurts him.
Says he's healthy, but he's saving it for the pro day.
Yeah. And obviously some of these guys just prefer to do the pro day thing and then go out there and run a little bit. Times are a little friendlier and stuff like that. And if you do that, you're probably fine. But I think there's something to coaches and GMs liking to see guys out there competing. It's at least a plus in your favor if you do it, even if it doesn't necessarily hurt you if you don't. The problem with McCoy, like the film is the film, but it also was filmed from 2024.
Well, it looks like we got a trade to end the show, Joe, because, of course, the Titans are sending Tavondre Sweat to the Jets for Jermaine Johnson. So there you go. We're out of time here on the program. But Tavondre Sweat, according to Tom Pelissero, apparently being traded from the Titans to the New York Jets. So have some of that.
Next man up.
There
Please react.
Jake Lyman coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.